Good morning. All you need is love. We just heard that performed. Such a simple and beautiful sentiment. It's both very inspiring and very challenging. Is love really all you need? Well, that depends. That depends on what a person means when they say love, right? I mean, if you mean the kind of love that is a bargain, I'll do this if you do that, then you may need more than that kind of love. You feed me and then I'll love you. I'll love you because I need you. And so on. Can you see how that kind of love could be a problem when it comes to being good stewards of our planet? This month, our focus is on loving our planet, and we're starting at an unusual place. We're starting with talking about love. Because if we have a this for that type of love relationship with our planet, we may need to do better than that. If we mean the kind of love that is the holds nothing back kind of love, like my grandmother loved me. Oh, I'm talking about the kind of love that remains constant. The no matter what kind of love. Oh, with that we can do remarkable things. Because that kind of love is not a business deal. Oh, it's an attitude toward life that doesn't stop when things go wrong. Love, well, it's everything from easy to challenging to rewarding to frustrating to, well, it's everything. Because love demands so much from us. One of my favorite writings about love comes from C.S. Lewis in The Four Loves. It's a warning about loving. I brought it with me to read to you. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung, possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable. Because to love is to be vulnerable. Love demands so much. Love demands being emotionally available. Love demands being present, being mindful. Love demands taking risks. Love demands forgiveness. Love demands nothing short of your whole self, all of you. When Jesus was asked of all the commandments, which is the most important, he said it was to love God, the living Spirit Almighty, but not just in any old way. Very specifically, here's what he said. You are to love God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your mind and all of your strength. Everything. One of my Christian friends explained to me that this is the backbone of his Christianity. The heart, soul, mind, strength, 360-degree approach, the whole life approach. He's a retired sheriff, and he started a nonprofit organization. It's called 360 Armor. It's for law enforcement officers. 360 Armor is an online learning environment and support environment where law enforcement officers can support each other with their best practices for staying well when it comes to these four areas: emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And he created this online learning organization in part because of the high incidence of obesity, suicide, depression in that industry. The National Alliance on Mental Illness states that compared to the general population, law enforcement officers report much higher rates of depression, PTSD, burnout, and other anxiety-related mental health conditions. Last year, I think the number of police officers who committed suicide was over 160. So he created 360 Armor to help officers strengthen themselves from the inside on all four fronts listed in the Gospels. And I thought to myself, I want to look at that scriptural direction one word at a time because I think it could help me, us. And the first thing I noticed is it doesn't say, pick one and you'll be okay. It doesn't say that. It says, no, with your whole life system, love God. Start with the heart. You know, I grew up in a very rough neighborhood, and the kids there, they loved to hang around with my grandmother because she genuinely loved them. Although she didn't have an education and she wasn't well read and she was super strict about manners and language and behavior, she was also caring and kind and generous in a very authentic way. And she was forgiving to the neighborhood kids. And for this reason, she had more power to influence those children than even their own parents. She got more obedience and respect from them than even did police officers. Even the rebellious, even the dangerous children would quiet down and listen to her when she spoke. Because people will do amazing things for love. When I want to love God with my heart, I think of the love that my grandmother had on people like her, and then I bring that alive in me. You know? It's said very beautifully in John, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love." So I can take that and I can turn it into a daily practice for me. Like, for example, first thing in the morning, before I head out and get involved in the day, I can take some time to sit still and I can repeat it to myself like a prayer, like a mantra. God is love. And then personalize it. I am that love. God is love. I am that love. And I can even direct that to friends and family. I can say, God is love. John is love. And when I practice in this way, I notice it keeps me from falling into the bad habits of being too distant, too disconnected, too separate from people, plants, animals, planet, myself, God. So I can ask myself, how would my relationship with my world be if I reminded myself daily to use my heart to love? Because doing so is knowing God, it says in the scripture. It's loving God. You know, the heart is our emotional center. It's our control center. And I think that's why it's first on the list. And still, the scripture doesn't say, all you need is love in your heart. It doesn't say that. Not just your heart. No, not your heart alone. Love once more. Love wants more from you. Love wants more from me. Love wants me to get into my heart and feel the affection that the heart gives. But also, love wants me to love through my soul, because that's the devotional aspect. That's the second point. Love God through the expression of your soul. Now, that's a little more challenging, because what is the soul? Well, I think of it as the blueprint for my being, my entire being. So I think of it, the soul is that part of me and you that is eternal, expansive, beyond the ability of words to describe. So to love through my soul means to me to love eternally, to love expansively, to love unconditionally, not just this life, not just this body, not just my family, not just this nation, not just my culture, not just this group of people, not just when things are going well, not just for my personal well-being, not just when people behave, not just when the weather is good. See, soul love is that love that goes beyond personal preferences. And for that, I may need the help both of my heart's inspiration and my mind's ability to choose. That's the third one. Love God with what's going on in our minds. And to me, that means with the choices I make. That can be hard work, but it's rewarding. You know, I notice when I keep my mind on love, I choose it when I don't want to. I choose it. Then I can notice more easily when I'm out of step with my heart and my soul. Jesus said that those who understand that loving God is the most important focus of a spiritual life, they are not very far away from the kingdom. Oh, but then he goes deeper. He doesn't just leave it there. He doesn't leave it on the level of the feel-good type of love that is born out of our affections. No, he elevated it from the ordinary affection of our hearts to the challenging practice of loving when it is extraordinarily difficult to do so. Oh, we may have to think about that. You know what I mean? We may have to consciously choose to love. So I can see how I need my heart and my soul and my mind, all of them working together, helping each other to keep me moving in the direction of a spiritual life every day. This is how Jesus said it. To you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. And pray for those who mistreat you. I know it's a lot. It's absolute. But I think the point of it is that when it gets difficult to love, I need my whole system, my heart, my soul, and mind. I need them all to be working together. I need my emotional affection center plugged in and switched on. I need my spirituality to keep me constant. I need my mind to make the choices to love. And for all of that to work, I'm going to need my strength. That's the fourth one. To love God with your strength. Often that's interpreted to mean with the body, but it means many things. It could also mean endurance. It also means effort. It means the things that we do with our bodies, what we allow ourselves to birth in the world through our actions. And what we've learned already is that effort and strength and endurance alone, If you just focus on that, just pick that one, we know where that goes. We already know what happens when we disconnect our bodies from the heart, soul, mind system. We know what happens. One of my favorite authors in metaphysics, Catherine Ponder, she wrote about, focusing on effort alone. There are those people who read self-help books and take numerous success courses who get the idea that mind power is all there is. That if they just use their mind power sufficiently, everything will come their way. Nervous laughter. For a time, they may seem right. They can produce tremendous results through the power of thought and through using its techniques. The time usually comes, though, when they realize that mind power is not enough. And they begin to spin their wheels spiritually. Yeah. She's explaining something. She's explaining that their focus is missing some elements. It's got the mind, it's got the effort, but not the heart and soul. And when that's missing, all that's left is effort, endurance. And effort alone it can only take us so far. So if you find you're spinning your wheels in life right now, you may need to bring the rest of your systems online. And I think it's important when thinking about effort, it's not any kind of effort. It's like in the Buddhist teaching, right effort. The effort that leads somewhere. Here's how it's explained in Buddhism. It's the effort to prevent unwholesome qualities, greed, anger, ignorance, from arising. It's the effort to extinguish unwholesome qualities that have already arisen and taken root. It's the effort to cultivate wholesome or skilled qualities like generosity, like loving kindness, like wisdom, that when they have not yet arisen, make room for them. And it's the effort to strengthen those wholesome qualities when they have arisen and taken root. Why? Because these affect what we allow our bodies to birth in the world. How will love help us become better stewards of our planet? Well, I've noticed that when my systems are not loving, my mind is not loving, or my actions are not loving, or my feelings are not loving, or my thoughts are not loving, which happens, for whatever reason. I'm not criticizing the reason. I'm just noticing that when that happens, it's very easy for me to take things for granted. Even those things upon which my existence depends. I notice that when I do have a loving attitude, I take better care of my body. I take better care of my relationships. I take better care of my environment. I take better care of my mind. So that's why we're starting there with questions. What is my heart asking me to do? What does my soul want me to do? What does my mind need to guide me in choosing right now? What does love want to accomplish through my physical actions? So I invite you to breathe in with me and to exhale, letting your eyes close as we take a moment for silent contemplation. Using these questions to guide us, I invite you to imagine that at the center of your being, your heart center, the center of your affectionate connection, there is a wisdom. And you are silently addressing that wisdom within, asking yourself, what is my heart asking me to do? And moving deeper into my being, thinking of my soul as that aspect, that part of me which is eternal and connected to the eternal, I address this question to the wisdom of my soul. What does my soul require of me? And remembering that God has not made me with a fearful mind, but with a sound mind, I turn my attention and my question to that within me which chooses and ask, what is it that my mind needs to choose? What is it that love wants to accomplish through me, through my actions? There is only one power, the living Spirit Almighty, the love of the universe, the eternal, unconditional, permanent and never-changing love. I identify myself with that love. I am that love. And I recognize that this is true for everyone hearing these words. And with this identification, I realize that there is within me a willingness to become a better and even more open-hearted channel for the expression of that love in this world through all the systems of my being. And so I declare myself to be open in my affection, open in my eternal soul, open in my thoughts and open in my action for the expression of the love that I know is my natural state. This I rejoice in, I give thanks for, and I release this word of prayer to that aspect of the divine that is the law that responds yes. And together we say, and so it is. I invite you to breathe in deeply with me, to sigh